So I just wanted to document um, kind of like um, a little bit about my parenting style. Um, parenting style. Um, I sometimes, when I was trying to um, sort of coach the kids into learning how to regulate their own emotions and uh, behaviors and that sort of thing. If they were, um, um, you know, disagreeing with rules or something like that, I have really uh, very, very basic rules, really simple, very easy actually to follow along with the rules. And so I figured, why don't I just put it in writing so then that way we all have clarity, we all can agree on it. And like at one time, I wrote it all down, and this was specific for that time period. At that time, my daughter was like 11 or 12, and my son was like 10. 10? Yeah. And so I just thought, like, why don't I just write it down? And then I can, we can read it together, and so we all understand. And then it's really clear. And then, it's clear to understand, like, okay, if we break these rules, then there's, XYZ consequence. We all understand. We know that when. Anyway, let me get into it. So I'm just gonna read this. So I wrote this on the 16th of November 2022. And it must have been after I don't know, I don't remember exactly what happened at that time, but it's probably over something that, maybe they got into a thing or something like that. And, it's just like, let's keep things cool and peaceful. Um, so I'm going to read this, and I may add in additional notes as I read, but basically I'm going to just read what I wrote. Dear kids, I love you so much. I want to keep our home happy and healthy. There are certain rules that I need you to follow as part of our family. Your job is to grow your body and mind to the best of your ability so that you may use your skills in the world and in life to help yourself and those around you and continue to help and improve the world and your life. My job as your mother is to provide guidance, help, protection, proper nutritional food, and care for you when ill or hurt, love, a safe place to live that's comfortable, clothes and shelter, and try to pass on some of my own wisdom gained throughout my life. Also, make sure that you grow up with a proper education which is going to help you in life, work, and survive as an adult. The basic rules are, I'll try to get through this quickly, but you can speed it up if you want. The basic rules are speak with manners, kindness, and respect. If you have a problem or a situation you can't easily sort out on your own with good intelligence, calm emotions, speak your mind and come to me for help. Speak your mind and come to me for help. I'd prefer you to learn to solve problems with your own initiative, however. But, come to me if you need help. Help out around the home with chores wherever possible. Do your own laundry. At that time, they were able to handle doing their own laundry. Keep your room and spaces clean and tidy. Clean up after yourself if you eat or make a mess. When you are done with things, put them back where they go. If I tell you to do something, go ahead and do it. Rather than argue with me if you disagree, ask questions afterwards if there is a confusion. Always willing to clear up any confusion, but usually when I would ask them to do something, it's nothing bizarre or insane. It's just usual stuff. Excuse me. Be kind and friendly with me. If you are unhappy about something in your life, speak to me about it at a time when it's appropriate and I can listen rather than hold it all inside. Let me help you. Trust that I want to help you and love you. Be open and honest with me at all times when I ask you a direct question. Don't keep secrets from me when you know better that I should be aware of it or would not approve of it if I did know. It's better to just tell me. And in fact, I'm just going to say this real quick. In recent months, there was a time, probably about 3 months ago, I was going to do a random check on London's phone and he wouldn't give me his password. He ended up getting very, very, very upset with me and doing this in my face and things like that. And I was like, wow. Eventually, somehow, I don't exactly remember how, but he ended up telling me he did have something he was trying to hide on his phone. He had been watching the show Squid Game, and I had told him before that I didn't want him to watch that, but he'd been watching it on his phone, and that's what he was trying to hide from me. And I knew, I knew there was something. So, but it's like, I wouldn't have been mad. It wouldn't have been like a big deal. It would have just been like, okay, cool. Well, don't do that, okay? Be nice to each other and helpful. We are in this together. Be kind to others and polite always. Be friendly to adults who we know. Take time away from screens and electronics to detox your mind and refresh, like balance, screens and real life stuff, reading, doing physical, projects, going outside and going for a walk without the screens and stuff. I know that I did let them go for walks with their phones, but it was just in case they needed anything. So, but like try to focus on, like, have a balance. Anyway, always strive to be better. This is more of like a guidance part, not like an actual rule, but like always strive to be better, do better, and remember, be positive. Every loss or failure is a learning experience. You never really lose. So I said repeatedly breaking these rules will result in consequences. First time, loss of electronic devices for up to 2 hours, 2 times in a row, repeatedly. Grounding for a day, loss, meaning basically loss of privileges, and or do a chore to make up for it with an apology. Okay, yeah, 3 times, stern talking to and discussion to handle, plus the above. So, repeatedly breaking these rules will result in consequences. So, I feel like generally I was pretty fair, but it was like, well, if you're gonna be like super disrespectful and like in the way that you talk to me, or you're, fighting with your sibling, constantly, you know, you're picking fights with them or something, you know, then it's like, okay, well, let's put the phone away for a little while, you know, consequence. So, because that's how it is in society, right? Like you do something that you shouldn't be doing, you get a consequence. Um, these are negotiable and may change as consequences. To have a justifiable reason to make an exception to the rules, it needs to be an emergency, such as someone in grave danger, someone injured, bleeding, or about to be, or about to, wait, I don't remember what that was, or about to save from actual, not imagined harm. Like, so if there's like, I don't know, how we would, like, what would be an example of that. Um, um, I don't know, if a kid was about to walk out in the middle of the road, you've got to grab their arm and stop them from walking in front of a car, right? Like, that's, you know, in general situations in life, you wouldn't necessarily just grab someone's arm. Like, that would be like, what? Like, that, why are you doing that, you know? But, like, so that's sort of an example. Like, a kid's about to walk in front of a car or walk out in the middle of the street and it's not safe, so you grab their arm. You're like, ow, 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 why are you grabbing my arm? I'm trying to save you from being run over, kid. um so that's kind of like the thinking on that. Anyway, I have another letter that I Uh, this was actually September 10th of 2023, a couple of years ago. But like, I wrote this out for London, and see, he signed it. And I will read this next one out next, just to give sort of like an example of my parenting style. I basically feel like, yeah, sure, it's good to be lenient with kids and be soft and, you know, don't give them a hard time, basically. But, you know, if they are severely acting out and like really, 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 really testing the boundaries and testing the limitations of what they can get away with, including like flipping off your parent like this and like um swearing at your parent and, you know, cussing them out and calling them names and so on. I feel like a kid kind of needs to take some responsibility for, or learn, like they already know that's not okay, right? So they need to kind of like recognize what they're doing, like the effects of what they're doing, and kind of, instead of just blaming it on their parent, saying, well, it's okay that I did that because you upset me, you made me mad, so you told me I couldn't do something that I want to do, so it's totally okay for me to do that. Well, actually, it's kind of not. um so you kind of need to, you know, take responsibility for behaving that way. Like, you can't just get your way by behaving belligerently. And so my effort, you know, as I started to see these patterns of behavior with me and testing me out and so on, I feel like I was very fair and very patient, even though, yeah, some of the things that he said to me were very hurtful, or did to me were hurtful, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so he's just gonna learn. Like he's gotta learn to like he's gotta understand that um, you know, if there's a simple rule in either a workplace, a school, or a with your parents in the home, or like a very simple rule, um, you know, get up on time in the morning, and you feel like it's okay to fight your parent about that or be very disrespectful and so on. Um, there's kind of you gotta learn that it's like, okay, if you don't want to do this, I understand. Um, but you just gotta get up. You know, like there were times when I would try to get him out of bed in the morning, and he would really fight with me about getting up and getting ready and stuff like that. And it's sort of like, well, I understand you feel that way. I totally get it, but we gotta get up and get to school. And this wasn't any like abnormal time that we were getting up or anything like that. It was like, you know, 6:45 kind of a thing. So, you know, my approach would just be to like, you know, be patient and be like persistent and totally get it. You know, I understand. Um, anyway, so anyhow, I guess it's just, you know, um, but if a kid feels like they're totally justified in acting that way and acting out and um, they have a reason for it, sure, that's gonna make things worse, you know, obviously. Um, anyway, that's that. I've gone on, and I will read the next thing that I wrote soon. Thanks for listening.